Good afternoon from Miller Park, Milwaukee. Matinee baseball today. Got a good crowd filing in to see the Reds and the Brewers. The third and final game of the series. The Brewers going for the clean sweep of their division rivals. Roof is wide open. It's a beautiful day for the grand old game, and we're glad you're with us. Brewers baseball today on Fox Sports Wisconsin. YMCA Day today. Bunch of kids here at the ballpark. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Miller Park alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson. The Brewers going for the sweep today against Cincinnati. Only the third sweep of the year if they can pull it off. And, Rock, it does give you an idea. When the starting pitching is good, it gives you a look at how good this ball club can be.
Yeah, it's been very inconsistent this year, but it's been a good run right now through the rotation. You had Gallardo, you had Gorzolani, very surprising given 6 innings. But, Kyle Loesch on Monday pitched into the 7th inning, 6 2/3, gave up only 3 runs. And how about Willie Peralta in yesterday's ball game? The first complete game for the Brewers since April of 2011. That was Giovanni Gallardo who did that. Now it's Johnny Hellwig's turn. Johnny needs to settle down, relax. He's had 2 starts out of the way. It's time for him to settle into the starting rotation. But the good thing about the last 2 starts for Milwaukee, the bullpen well rested. They're in the middle of a stretch of 20 straight. And in the last 2 games, Ron Renick has only needed 3 relievers. So if need be, that bullpen is well rested for today's game.
Yeah, no relievers were needed yesterday. Only K-Rod was up and throwing in the bullpen. The Brewers going after the clean sweep of Cincinnati. Craig and Davey will have more when we continue as we march closer to first pitch.
By Toyota, let's go places. And by AT&T U-Verse. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. The grounds crew one bead of water at a time with our Phantom Cam. Not too shabby. It's been one of the big highlights of this series so far. And the Brewers trying to cap off the homestand with a sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. And Davey, a lot of good things have happened with the Brewers. Some very good individual performances that all add up for team at this point to win.
Well, it certainly is. You know, Jonathan Lucroy is right there at the top. You know, his last 3 hits have been home runs, and he's been swinging the bat well. Logan Schaefer, he hit his first major league home run. Then you look at Carlos Gomez's catch, and then, of course, the Phantom camera, and that's been a highlight of it all.
Yeah, a lot of good things going on for this Brewer team. Big smiles on the face. Milestone for Schaefer as well with his home run yesterday. And, of course, the heart stopper right here to end the game, the walk-off catch, which you'll rarely ever, if ever, see again in Gomez. And the Phantom Cam, 5,000 frames per second of some very unique video that you've been able to see throughout this series, and you will be exposed to as the season moves forward as well with the Brewers. So the Brew crew ready to go. They've got the home blue jerseys on here today. Johnny Hellwig out on the hill for Milwaukee. Let's see what he can do to follow up what's been great starting pitching. For a series sweep against the Cincinnati Reds. Johnny Hellwig out on the hill. Brian Anderson, Bill Shorter, Sophia Min are ready to call it for you. Brian, take it away.
All right, Craig, thanks. As Johnny Hellwig leads the Brewers onto the field here at Miller Park. 79 degrees, just perfect baseball weather today. And day baseball under the natural light. There's Dusty Baker. His ball club is really struggling right now. They've lost their last 3 road series. And his team coming in at 50 wins, 40 losses, certainly right there in the pennant race. 3rd place in the National League Central behind the Cardinals and the Pirates. The Piggly Wiggly batting order for Dusty Baker. Shin Soo Choo leads off. Zach Cozart, then Joey Votto. Middle of the order is Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, and Todd Frazier. Xavier Paul gets to start in left field. Devin Mesoraco will do the catching, and Mike Leake is on the mound. He's been pitching very well as of late. What do you have on Johnny Hellwig, partner?
Well, you see his 3 appearances, 2 starts, 1 out of the bullpen. What pops out at you is all the unearned runs given up by Hellwig, 7 of them in 3 games. And you compare that to Giovanni Gallardo, who's made 19 starts. He's given up 7 unearned runs. Johnny's needs to learn how to get in and out of trouble. And his Menards Brewers defense, Ron Renegade loading up the infield with some good defenders. Jeff Bianchi at third base, Uneski Betancourt at first. You have Segura Weeks up the middle. Jonathan Lucroy hanging his signs for the young right-hander.
And a premium on infield defense with Hellwig on the mound. Big hit yesterday from Logan Schaefer, his first career home run. And that was all the runs the Brewers would need. A 2-0 shutout win. Willie Peralta went the distance for the Brewers in yesterday's game. And by the way, Logan Schaefer did get the baseball back. I know a lot of people were asking. Very a friendly fan offered the baseball back, and Sophia has the story. It cost Logan Schaefer a few items, but he was glad to get a souvenir.
Well, it did. I mean, when you hit your first home run, you definitely need that ball back for the collection. So the fans were kind enough to come down after the game, and Schaefer signed some bats, gave him some balls, took a picture with them. He said that he was very appreciative of the fans to return the ball to him and said, hey, I'll happily sign anything you guys want if I can get that ball back.
That's nice. That'll be up there for a long time on his trophy case. Johnny Hellwig in there for strike one, and away we go on a Wednesday afternoon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Brewers headed on the road tonight, starting a series in Arizona tomorrow. 4-game series on the road before the All-Star break. There's strike two in there. Quickly 0-2 on Shin-Soo Choo. Hellwig at 6'9". Don't know how long he will continue in the Brewers rotation. Ideally, the Brewers would like him to be able to finish some things in AAA and work on some mechanical flaws in his mechanics. Not bad, but just a developing process for Johnny Hellwig.
Yeah, but in the meantime, it's time for him to settle in. He's made a couple of starts, a relief appearance, got some of the nerves out of the way, and time for Johnny to show what he did down in the minor leagues. Got to the major leagues because he threw the ball so well. Time for him to do it here.
Well, he has a great future ahead of him. He matched up against Zach Wheeler his last time out of the Mets. Wheeler picked up the win that day. Hellwig has been developing a changeup this year. When he was a member of the Angels organization, they figured he would be a reliever because he's a fastball, breaking ball pitcher, really just a two-pitch pitcher, but his changeup has come a long way. He's able to get left-handers out with it, and that's what had him so successful in AAA and that great run he was on to earn him a call-up here to the big leagues. But the Brewers have a couple of pitchers that are soon to be coming off the disabled list, Marco Estrada and Alfredo Figueroa. So his spot in the rotation is in question, and he'd like to give him something to think about.
Well, Hellwig's 6'9", so he's got a tall, menacing figure out there on the mound. When you consider it's a 10-inch mound that he's on, so he can throw from a downhill plane. You can see he's pretty much straight up. Not much of a stride, not very long, which means he's going to sink the baseball. But he's got to throw some strikes. I mean, in the short time he's been with the Brewers, 6 1/3 innings, he's walked 8 batters. That has not helped him either.
Has a very easy motion, easy cheese they call it.
Kind of high 3/4 and gives him some sink as that ball gets to home plate.
Choo hits that one hard into left field. Halton is out there and he can't make the play. And right away, one of the weaknesses for the Brewers defense is exposed. That'll be a ground rule double for Choo. Halton is a first baseman by trade, but Ryan Braun not available to start today. Nori Aoki is still out with an elbow injury, so Renick's having to go very deep in his outfield ranks.
Yeah, the Brewers have not helped Hellwig at all defensively in his starts and his appearances, and it starts early. A bad route by Halton, should have had it, and it goes over his head for a double.
That will extend a hitting streak for Choo to 8 games. The ball will find you, won't it? It's the one spot you're trying to hide today in left field.
Moved him to the outfield in the minor leagues this year, making room for Hunter Morris at first base. And Choo continues to get on base, hit the baseball, taking that one to the opposite field, and Hellwig got ahead of him 0-2, but just couldn't get the put away pitch.
So Choo at second base for Cozart. He bounces one to third. Bianchi will look Choo back. He'll make the play for out number 1. So Renicky makes the decision today, and rightly so, to put his best infield group out there today. Best defenders around the infield. When Hellwig is right, he'll get a lot of ground balls. So no Juan Francisco in the starting lineup. That's certainly a bat the Brewers could use on a day like this. But the decision to go with Betancourt first, which moves Halton out to left field.
And because of those 2 injuries you talked about, there is going to be a weak link somewhere. But Ron Renicky wants to tighten up that infield defense as best he can for the young right-hander.
Essentially, you have 3 shortstops on the infield today for the Brewers. Bianchi, a shortstop by trade, as is Yuni Betancourt. And the real shortstop, Gene Segura, the all-star shortstop of the Brewers. He's made everybody else go scrambling for different positions. Joey Votto ahead in the count 2-0. Well, some great matchups last night. In that tight ball game, Willie Peralta matching up with Joey Votto. Peralta was on his game last night. Best game he's had all year.
Yep. And pounding the strike zone with a good sinking fastball. He got it up to about 98 miles an hour last night. Found his slider late in the ball game. And that was something that helped him get through those 9 innings.
First complete game by a Brewer pitcher in over 2 years. Got to go back to April 5th of 2011. Giovanni Gallardo did it against Atlanta. Until Peralta did it last night, and he told us after the game a couple of things. One, that was the first complete game he's ever thrown at any level. And 2, he did it in front of his mother, who was seeing him pitch professionally for the first time. Quite a moment. There's a changeup. Fly ball to left, and Sean Halton will make the catch for out number 2. And a good pitch by Johnny Hellwig to get a dangerous hitter.
Unusual to see Votto making that on a weak fly ball like that with the count in his favor. I mean, Votto very patient up at the plate. He's good for about a 5-minute at bat just about every time he steps into that batter's box. Taking pitches, fouling pitches off. That's what he did last night in the 9th inning. And Peralta ended up walking him.
Out number 2. More on the Peralta story in front of his mother, Sophia.
Well, BA, it was definitely a night to remember for Willie Peralta, but more so for his mom, Milady, who for the first time was able to come and see her son pitch at the professional level. It took Willie 3 years to obtain the travel visa. He needed to bring her from Banao in the Dominican Republic. He said she was very emotional, as you can imagine. There were definitely some tears after the game. He said it was a thrill to be able to share that night and that memory with her. She plans to stay here until about August, so he's hoping she'll see a handful of more starts. And of course, he said he's got mom staying with him, and he loves having that home cooking.
Yeah, that was great. And I thought he got a little emotional last night during the interview. He was talking to Sophia after the game. He had Martin Maldonado with him, and you don't see players reveal too much. And that was a nice moment yesterday as Phillips lines one into left field. They're going to send Chu. Halton's throw to the plate is all the way through. Now a throw to second, and they got Phillips in a rundown. And Betancourt will put the tag on him to end the inning. It goes 7-2 to 4-3 on the putout. The Reds score the run. RBI single for Brandon Phillips. And the Reds are on the board first, but the inning ends between first and second with the All-Star and a base running blunder. Ron Renicky, a little hamstrung with his lineup today. No Braun, no Aoki. And Renicky having to mix and match a little bit today. Logan Schaefer will lead off. Segura, then Gomez to follow. Middle of the order today is Lucroy, Weeks, and Betancourt, with Halton, Bianchi, and Hellwig rounding it out. Batting order brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, and that's the lineup that will face Mike Leake.
Yeah, Mike Leake got off to a bit of a slow start. His first 2 starts not very good. Since that time, he's been really good. 6-2 in the month of May and June combined. Earned run average is under 2. Overall, 7-4, a 273 earned run average. And last time out against Seattle got roughed up a bit. 5 innings, 5 runs, including 2 homers.
Leake, one of the few non-strikeout pitchers for the Cincinnati Reds. He'll get him occasionally. This is a pitching staff that is on a pace to set a club record for strikeouts in a season. Of course, they have the big hammer in the bullpen, Aroldis Chapman, closing games. He's good for 2 a night. As Schaefer hits one to right field. That's over the head of Jay Bruce. Schaefer on his way to second base with a double. Boy, he is responding well to some unexpected playing time the last 2 days.
Offensive hero last night from Milwaukee. Wasn't even supposed to be in the starting lineup. A late scratch by Aoki. Schaefer came in, got that 2-run homer, and first at bat today. Fastball out over the plate and able to hammer it over the head of Jay Bruce. So both teams start the day with leadoff doubles.
Schaefer, the 2-run home run last night, the first of his career, and it was no wall scraper. He banged one into the Toyota territory in deep right center field. Very fast runner who's making the most of his playing time. Here's Segura now, and he pops up a bunt.
Let's check out the Menards Reds defense for today. Xavier Paul gets a start in left. It was Chris Heisey. The first 2 games of this series, he got hit on the arm with a pitch last night, had to come out, and Xavier Paul gets a start today. Devin Mesoraco behind home plate. He started the game on Monday.
Now Mesoraco's been dealing with back spasms. Hannigan, the other catcher, has a hand injury. So the Reds aren't clicking at 100% behind the plate right now. As Segura lines one to center field. Schaefer had to freeze on the line drive, so he'll hold at third base. And the Brewers off to a quick start. 2 on, first and third with nobody out. Segura just keeps hitting. This guy every day shows up squaring up a few baseballs a night.
His approach has been consistent all season long. I mean, he very rarely deviates from this approach, taking it back through the middle, pulls the hands in, shoots it up the middle, and the Brewers with their first 2 men on today.
Segura is the National League hits leader, has 114 hits, and there's a great look at an approach that will stand up throughout the course of a season. It might give him a chance to win a batting title.
That's kind of an approach, and swing that Segura has, combined with his speed, that keeps him out of long offers.
Here's Gomez now. He's swinging away on the first pitch. Gomez just falling out of the top 10 in the league in batting today. He's hitting .305. It takes .309 to be in the top 10. Segura is 5th in the league in hitting at .320. Segura and Gomez headed for their first All-Star games coming up on Tuesday. That ball's hit deep. Gomez watches it into the glove of Paul. That'll get a run in. And Schaefer scores to tie this one up.
And just didn't get it on the sweet spot. That's what kept it in the ballpark. It sounded good, but it sounded like he got it down on the trademark a little bit. And Logan Schaefer able to score easily. Gomez trying to talk it out of the ballpark, couldn't do it. Just didn't square it up, but he did get drive in the run.
Sacrifice fly and an RBI. Gomez screaming at that baseball. I guess the baseball doesn't listen. Yeah, he had the right swing, it had the right sound, but it didn't have the full Gomez effect behind it.
Maybe the baseball doesn't understand Spanish.
Maybe so. Snap throw to first, and Segura's back.
Yeah, he just missed that one.
42 RBIs for Gomez, second on the ball club. Here's your RBI leader, Jonathan Lucroy. He has 48 this year. Lucroy hit a 2-run home run here in the first inning on Monday night, and has homered in 3 consecutive games for the Brewers. He did not play yesterday. Segura takes off, got a late jump, and the throw short hops in. Segura's out. Great hands by Brandon Phillips to scoop that short hop, and a caught stealing.
Always better if you're catching to throw it low than high. You don't get much help from your fielder on a play like that if you throw high, but if you throw it short, hop it, you have a chance. And Segura an easy out, relatively easy out at second base. You haven't seen Segura get thrown out by that much all that often.
He got a late jump. Mike Leake has a very quick move to first base. He's a superb athlete. He's a very good hitter. He defends his position well. No time in the minor leagues for Mike Leake. Went straight from college at Arizona State. Had 1 year of the Arizona Fall League after he was drafted and signed, and then the next season he was in the big leagues with Cincinnati.
Yep, a control pitcher, doesn't throw very hard, has a good sinker. Throws about 5 different pitches: cutter, slider, curve, changeup, to go along with that 2-seamer.
2-2, and Lucroy pops it up. Brandon Phillips is out. The Gold Glover makes the catch to retire the side, but the Brewers tie it up. Leake gives up a run on a sac fly by Gomez.
The Brewers in their final homestand before the All-Star break, and it has not been short on highlights for Brewers fans. So today on our AT&T Twitter poll, we're asking fans, what was the best moment at Miller Park this series? Carlos Gomez, that game-winning catch, or Willie Peralta, the complete game shutout last night? Let's take a look. Why not? This unforgettable walk-off catch by Carlos Gomez to rob Joey Votto of the game-tying home run. There he is. The reaction was unforgettable. And the final out of Willie Peralta's complete game shutout. Big hug from his catcher, Martin Maldonado. So BA asking fans to weigh in. It has certainly been a series full of highlights.
Yeah, no question. And the Brewers starting to give us an idea when the starting pitching clicks, and that's the name of the game. Pitching is how you win games, and starting pitching specifically is the one that carries the momentum every day. And as Loesch and Peralta have clicked, the Brewers have won the last two. Jay Bruce turns one around from Johnny Hellwig, and the third hit already for Cincinnati. Leadoff single for Bruce.
Well, the Brewers have been able to handle Jay Bruce pretty well in this series. He did get a base hit on Monday night. Well, Peralta hung a collar on him last night. Jay Bruce taking a fastball up. Ordinarily, that's where you want to pitch Bruce, right at the belt. He's able to center on it and bang it into center field. Kind of a little bit of a back leg swing by Jay Bruce. Weight leaning back as he makes contact.
So Bruce is aboard for Todd Frazier, and he's hit by a pitch. A single and a hit batter, and the Reds putting some traffic on quickly here in the second inning.
Just trying to come in on Frazier and got him around the back of the elbow. That's exactly where Chris Heisey got hit in yesterday's game by Willie Peralta.
And now 2 on with nobody out, and Xavier Paul at the plate. One of Dusty Baker's primary pinch hitters. He's in the starting lineup today. Chris Heisey has that elbow injury after he was drilled by a pitch. He started in left yesterday. Derek Robinson on the bench to start this one. That's why you bring your glove right there. You never know when the foul ball lottery will pick your number.
So you better be ready.
Two on, nobody out. Hellwig, a ground ball pitcher, could use one here. And Paul fouls it back. 0-2 the count.
I think Johnny Hellwig concentrating more on that two-seam fastball, getting movement rather than trying to, reach back and throw hard. I mean, his last start, he got it up to about 96 from time to time, but they hit him pretty good. The success that he had down in the minor leagues was with that two-seamer and the changeup.
Breaking ball down in the dirt. Hellwig retired Joey Votto on a changeup in the first inning. Got him to fly out to left field. Reds have a hit with a runner in scoring position today. That was last inning. Brandon Phillips driving in Chu. 2 on here with nobody out. And another one in the dirt. Cincinnati has struggled in this type of situation a bit lately. Their last 23 games, they're hitting just 163 with runners in scoring position. That number means something because this is one of the better clubs in the league as far as offensive talent, and it doesn't just involve their starters. They have a deep bench. One of the most successful pinch hitting ball clubs in baseball.
Well, for the season, the Reds have done a decent job in these spots, hitting at a .251 clip. Doing particularly well with less than 2 outs. Every team goes into these stretches where they're just not swinging the bats all that well. That's when you rely on your pitching to get you some wins.
3-2 the count. Hellwig sends it in inside, ball 4. Bases loaded. Hellwig back in the grinder once again. It's been like this in his first run in the major leagues, and you can just almost see the wheels spinning upstairs for Johnny Hellwig. And Rick Kranitz obviously sees something, and he's on his way out for a chat.
I guess gives up a base hit, and then tries to be a little bit too fine, loses his command, and gets behind an account. Hitting Frazier. He got ahead of Xavier Paul very quickly, but difficult time for him to get that good put away pitch. You know, that breaking ball down and in to get a hitter to swing. Reds a very patient ball club, not biting on those pitches out of the strike zone.
Well, his first 7 batters, Hellwig has allowed 3 hits, a walk, and a hit batter. But there is a way out of this inning. It starts right here with Mesoraco. He's the 8th place hitter in the Reds lineup. You've got the pitcher Leake due up next. Mesoraco has been playing with a bad back. Kind of feels like Dusty Baker is getting in his hobbled catchers every other day to give him a recovery day. Can't imagine having to catch with a sore back. You're having back spasms. There's a strike. Mesoraco disagreed. It's 0-2. That's a big pitch for Hellwig.
And all of a sudden, Hellwig, now that he's in trouble, is starting to reach back a little bit. Both of those fastballs at 95 miles an hour.
Brewers set up to turn 2. And a bouncer foul. Hellwig is having to essentially be his own closer right now. And we've seen this in his first couple of starts where you can tell he wants a jumping off point at what he calls cruising speed. Something that he watched Justin Verlander do. Verlander has obviously an upper 90s fastball, but really started to become a pitcher when he was underway in games throwing 92, 93 miles an hour, more of a controlled sinker ball. And while Hellwig has tried to do that early, it seems like he's getting himself in some early jams because of it. So there's obviously some kind of middle ground there between what Hellwig actually has at 100% and what his cruising speed will be.
And when you find yourself in trouble, you always go back to what's normal and what's comfortable for you. And for Hellwig, that's just trying to reach back and throw hard. And since the bases have been loaded, every one of his pitches has been at 95 miles an hour. You throw all that other stuff out the window when you find you're back against the wall.
0-2 the count. Mesoraco in the air to center field. Jay Bruce, the runner at third. Gomez will make the catch. The throw is coming into third base, and it's just off the mark. 2 runners advance. The Reds take the lead. Sac fly and an RBI by Mesoraco.
That was a 5-pitch at bat, and Johnny Hellwig able to throw all strikes. The first 4 at 95 miles an hour. Second pitch was a called strike right at the bottom of the strike zone, a couple of foul balls, and then Johnny reaches back on pitch number 5, tries to get up in the zone, but Mesoraco able to center on it and hit it deep enough into center field to score the run. So with the bases loaded, not messing around with the breaking stuff, staying hard on Mesoraco in that at bat.
2-1 Cincinnati. First and third with 1 out, and the pitcher Leake coming up, who can really swing the bat. He has some power, believe it or not. Not a big guy, but he's hit 2 home runs this year, or in his career, both last season. He homered off Matt Cain of the Giants and Mike Minor of the Braves last year.
Yeah, not up there to bunt, at least on the first pitch. And Chris Spire going through the signs and allowing Leake to swing the bat.
Leake is a .250 career hitter. He's a little late there.
Pretty good hack though.
Not a lot of pitchers in a spot like this are going to be up there allowed to swing. 95-97% of them are going to be asked to bunt in this situation.
And advance the runner to second base and bring up the top of the order.
Leake is also very fast, so you have to be careful if he does get a bunt down. He tries to bunt for a hit. 1-2 the count. we'll see if Leake's up there to bunt with 2 strikes. Two and 2 on Leake. Reds got 2 on in the first. RBI single by Phillips. Loaded the bases with nobody out here in the second. Sac fly from Mesoraco. High stress pitches for Johnny Hellwig early in this game. Bouncing ball to Weeks. Got a chance to turn it. Segura fires to first and Hellwig gets out of it. About as good as you could ask for there. Bases loaded, nobody out. The Reds get just 1. 4-6-3 double play to end the Reds second.
Reds with single runs in the first and second innings, and today's time of the game winner, Apple River Inn in Star Prairie. That's by the Minnesota border on 94. Of course you knew that. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Before my Milwaukee days, Rock, I spent a lot of time in Hudson, Wisconsin. Used to do golf tournaments there back in the day.
In Hudson?
As a Tom Lehman design course. Yeah, Hudson, Wisconsin.
I didn't know they had golf courses there.
Absolutely they do. Very good ones.
I know they have some nice archery courses over there.
That too. Same place. Well, Mike Leake pitching with a lead now. Been a lot of activity on the base paths in the first 3 half innings today. We're headed to the bottom of the second. Ricky Weeks will lead off. Uni Betancourt and Sean Halton. Leake bouncing into the double play. That gets Johnny Hellwig off a significant hook in the second inning. Weeks batting .230. Has 9 home runs and 21 runs batted in. He had a great month of June, which helped get those numbers into a more respectable climate. He doesn't desire to be a .230 hitter, but considering where he was, it's a pretty significant climb. He was hitting .160 in mid-May, and in 1 month was able to bring it up to around the .230 range. He was actually the Brewers player of the month in the month of June.
He's had good success against Mike Leake with a couple of home runs. And Mike Leake relies on keeping the baseball down, keeping you off balance with good off-speed pitches, and one of the few starters for this Reds team that doesn't blow you away with a fastball.
Weeks a ground ball to Leake. who makes the play for out number 1 as we check in with Sophia.
Well, BA, after the All-Star break, fans can come out to Miller Park as your Milwaukee Brewers host the Miami Marlins Friday, July 19th through Sunday, July 21st. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or visit brewers.com. And I think in that series, you'll be seeing the Zubaz pants, guys.
Oh, I had forgotten about the Zubaz, so that we did some serious promotion on that, and that went well. Sold out. The Zebra Zubaz. We're going to be sporting them here in the booth, right?
Are we wearing them?
That's starting to feel like an airplane trip dress code. The Zubaz.
Mandatory to wear the Zubaz on the plane?
I'm all in for that. Another one back to Leake. And he takes care of Betancourt for the out.
We actually had Mark Atanasio sporting the Zubaz.
Yeah, we did.
So if the owner can wear them, I guess we can wear them on the air, right?
I like it. There's a whole generation of folks out there that don't know what Zubaz are.
They're great.
It's kind of back in the rock era. I mean, when you were in your prime with the mullet working and the sweet mustache and the good tan and the biceps.
The modern version of the tie-dye almost, right?
Public pajamas is probably a better way to put it, which I'm all for.
Oh, you and a number of people that I see walking around town these days with the pajamas and the slippers on.
Halton bounces one to third, and Frazier makes a play, a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Leake. 2-1 Reds, 2 in the books. The top of the third inning. Now, just a reminder, this year Fox Sports Supports is proud to partner with Stomp Out Bowling, the leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Stomp Out Bowling focuses on preventing bullying and all forms of digital abuse. It educates against racism and hatred, deters violence in schools and online, and helps at-risk students. To learn how you can help, please visit stompoutbowling.org. Johnny Hellwig in need of a quick inning and a scoreless inning here. The Reds have put single tallies on the board in the first 2. And here is Shin-Soo Choo to start it. Back to the top of the order. Choo with 12 home runs, 29 runs batted in. He's not up there to drive in runs necessarily, but can. He is up there to get on base and does that about as well as anyone in the business. Matter of fact, he's second in the National League in on base percentage, trailing only his teammate Joey Votto. Choo has an on base percentage of .415.
Yeah, so no surprise, Brandon Phillips and Jay Bruce are racking up the RBIs. These guys are on base all the time.
2-1 to Chu, and he pulls one foul. Now, if you're Johnny Hellwig, you just have to wonder if he feels like he's swimming upstream every inning of every start he makes. He's had a lot of success in the minor leagues. He was extremely successful in AAA. And the old adage, if you can pitch in AAA and use the same kind of stuff you're using there, you've got a good chance to get big league hitters out.
But there's that settling in process that is different for everybody. Hitters at this level make adjustments very quickly. Not so much in the minor leagues. That's why they're down in the minor leagues.
And there's a walk, and that has been a problem for Hellwig throughout his minor league career, and certainly here in the big leagues. It's his second walk of the day. He's also hit a batter. So you're talking about 6 base runners in the first 10 batters he's faced, with 3 hits, 2 walks, and a hit batter. Hellwig is just 24, same age as Willie Peralta. His numbers at AAA, he was 7-4 with a 2.82 ERA. But a significant stat for Hellwig was opponent's batting average. Just a 204 batting average in the Pacific Coast League for his opponents. That's known as a hitter's league. So that would lead you to believe a lot of his damage, and even though the numbers are very good, a lot of it was self-induced. A lot of walks, a lot of base runners on behind him, even though, like he did last inning, was able to pitch out of some jams.
Now pitching more to contact, in his last handful or 10 starts down in the minor leagues this year. Talk about that 2-seam. That's a big part of it. But up here in the big league level, it seems as though he kind of goes away from it when he finds himself in trouble. That's all part of that maturity process in the big leagues. Trusting, the pitches that got you to the major leagues to get you out of trouble in the major leagues. You always go back to what's comfortable, whether you're pitching in the field, at the plate when things aren't going well.
There's always that concern and that balance. Pitchers with great stuff like Hellwig, you worry about shattering confidence up here if he's not having success. Cozart bounces one foul past third. Sophia Minard with more on Johnny Hellwig, a guy just trying to get his feet under him here at the big league level. Sophia.
Well, he is, and Ron Renicky addressed that yesterday, saying, of course, he hasn't had much defensive help behind him, and because of that, he feels that Hellwig just hasn't really had a chance to breathe out on the mound. He said he would love to see Hellwig get settled into a game early and just see how deep he could go to see if he could get into a rhythm, establish some confidence. He said right now he feels like Hellwig isn't pitching, he's just trying to get through innings. He would love to see what he can do over a longer outing, which we haven't seen. His longest he's gone has been 3 2/3.
And you think about this. This is Hellwig's 10th inning as a big leaguer, and he's had 1 scoreless inning. That was his very first inning against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He retired the Pirates in order, 1, 2, 3. Every inning since, he's given up at least 1 run. So, and we're talking about Hellwig, Rock, and everybody's breaking him down every which way on every broadcast. And that's part of the story, too, with Hellwig being at the major league level and trying to accomplish some things as opposed to doing it in AAA.
Well, again, with all the injuries and, guys getting hurt, not able to make starts, the Brewers would certainly have preferred to have Hellwig pitch an entire season down in the minor leagues.
There's a bouncer to third. Bianchi goes to second for 1. Week's turn is not in time. Brewers do get the lead out at second base. Cozart replaces Chu at first on a fielder's choice.
Yeah, keep him down in the minor leagues, not because the Brewers don't feel as though he has the stuff to be competitive and to be successful here, but I want to keep him down in the minor leagues and continue to do well and just continue to gain confidence each and every start, and that's what he was doing. So organizations, particularly the Brewers, believe in keeping the guy down in the minor leagues a little bit too long, as opposed to a little bit, rushing him to the big leagues a little bit too soon. And confidence level, very important.
He's got a man out and a runner at first, and Joey Votto at the plate. Fastball inside corner. That has been a successful spot for the Brewer pitchers against Joey Votto. Certainly the game plan. That's not an easy spot to hit with consistency. Votto hit what he thought off the bat was going to be an eventual game-winning home run in the 9th inning Monday night. Thought it was a 2-run home run when it left the bat. Gomez got to the wall, made a leaping catch, pulled the home run back for the final out of Monday's game, preserving the win for Kyle Lohse, and a save for Frankie Rodriguez. One of the great plays of the season all across Major League Baseball, not just on the impressive resume of Carlos Gomez this year, who has robbed 4 home runs this season. No other player in the big leagues has more than 2. There's a line drive opposite field. Halton will play it off the side wall. Cozart will stop at third base. And that'll be a double for Joey Votto. And the Reds back in a position to add to their lead.
Well, the inside out stroke for Joey Votto, and a pitch that a lot of hitters would try and pull down the line in right. Votto stays right on it, pulls the hands in, and shoots it down the line in left. Check out this pitch. Now, Votto always looking to stay on the baseball. The sinker was trying to get away from him, stayed down the middle, and Votto slices it down the left field line. And not only does he hit the ball to the opposite field very well, does a good job of staying on top of it and lining it in that direction. And that's not easy to do.
What a swing, Joey Votto. Look how far the ball travels. That's on his back leg.
Yeah, all the way back. And it's one of those things where that's how you hit the ball to the opposite field.
Bounce to third, but Yankees only play as first base, and that will bring in a run. So Phillips has driven in 2 runs now. 3-1 Cincinnati on a little topper over to third base.
Yeah, the difference between pulling the baseball and taking it to the opposite field is all about point of contact. You don't change your swing at all. You hit the ball out in front of the plate. To pull it, you hit the ball back on your back leg, to hit it to the opposite field. And a good decision by Jeff Bianchi. That would have been a little bit too close, even if he had a chance to get him. That's a good jump off the bag by Zach Cozart, who runs well.
And a tough angle for Bianchi as well. So Wisely takes the out. 2 outs in the inning. Jay Bruce at the plate. Bruce singled and scored in the 2nd inning. Reds have had their leadoff batter reach base in all 3 innings, and have scored single tallies in each of the first 3 innings. That run that Hellwig went on in AAA that earned him his promotion covered a 7-game stretch. His last 7 AAA starts, he went 6-0 with a 1.64 ERA. Covered 44 innings. He gave up just 8 earned runs in 44 innings. He is the 10th different starting pitcher used by the Brewers this year. A revolving door and open auditions in the starting role. Lately, Tom Gorzolani and Donovan Hand have pitched well out of that role. Brewers have a couple of starters that are out. Alfredo Figueroa has an oblique injury. And Marco Estrada a hamstring injury. You see the chart of high speed pitch velocity. Hellwig's hit 97. Mike Leake at 91. There's one at 97. And Bruce now in a full count.
Well, a lot of pitches are ready for Johnny Hellwig. He's at 56 already.
Payoff pitch. Count remains at 3-2. Well, the Brewers dropped 2 out of 3 to the Mets to start this homestand, coming back to win the first 2 games of this series with Cincinnati. Milwaukee's won 3 of their last 4. Brewers are matching up against a contender in this series, and they'll do the same in Arizona as Jay Bruce draws the walk. Well, Ron Renicky keeping a close eye on Hellwig. This is the kind of spot where Cincinnati can put the game in a different result right now.
Yeah.
It's 3-1. You're still in it if you're the Brewers. One swing of the bat changes things, though.
Back-to-back innings, the Reds with the bases loaded. I should say first and second, I should say, in this inning. A lot of base runners for Hellwig. A lot of traffic on the bases. This is why we were talking about when we came on the air today that there's 2 starts in this series by Loesche and Peralta. So important because the Brewers bullpen pretty much intact today, including Tyler Thornburg, who's the long man.
Todd Frazier with 2 on and 2 out in the inning. A couple of walks and a double by Votto. Frazier pops it up. Betancourt drifting into foul territory makes the play. So Hellwig gives up another run, but hanging in there. It's 3-1 Cincinnati on our way to the bottom of the 3rd. Phantom Cam giving us some of these images today.
Three to 1 Cincinnati. We head to the Brewers half of the 3rd inning, and every Friday is a $15 Fair Friday. He had one Terrace Reserve ticket to any Friday Brewers game and one general admission ticket to the Wisconsin State Fair presented by U.S. Cellular for just $15. Visit Brewers.com/State Fair for details.
Brewers down 3-1 early today to the Reds. Mike Leake back at it as we start the bottom of the third. Jeff Bianchi will lead off. Johnny Hellwig will follow, and then back to the top of the order, Logan Schaefer. Brewers without 2/3 of their starting outfield today. Ryan Braun, although back from the DL after missing a month with a right thumb injury, is not in the starting lineup. Available to pinch hit, but they're being very cautious with Braun as he comes back from the injury.
Yeah, Braun had 3 at bats in yesterday's game and 1 for 3. Got a hit in his first pitch that he saw since coming back from the disabled list.
And the injury to Nori Aoki doesn't appear to be too serious. It's a left elbow injury, which is non-throwing arm, as Bianchi draws a walk. Might expect Aoki to be in there tomorrow in Arizona. So Leake walks Bianchi, and you see that look. With a 3-1 lead, he walks the 8th place hitter, and that'll give the pitcher Hellwig a chance to bunt him over.
He very rarely walks anybody. Only 22 walks in just shy of 109 innings coming into play today. Less hits than innings pitched.
Hellwig batting for just the 3rd time this year. And he pulls the bat back. A bouncer to Votto. His only play is first. Not a bad idea. The old Butcher Boy play with the corner infielders crashing in on him.
Yep, they would advance the base runners, but it will be an 0 for 1 for Hellwig as opposed to a sacrifice. And with the way the corners are crashing, I mean, it'd be difficult to drop down a bunt and be able to advance Bianchi. So he pulls it back, slows down the charge of those corner infielders, and able to get the job done anyway.
And Bianchi with good speed out at second for Logan Schaefer, who ripped a double off the fence in right field his first time up. Scored the first and only Brewers run in the first inning. I was talking to Logan before the ball game today, and he certainly feels like he's truly a part of things in the major leagues now. He's been playing a lot as Ryan Braun has been out with injuries, getting most of the starts in left field. He's hit his first major league home run, and today he's back in the leadoff spot where he is most comfortable. A little tapper out to Leake, and he'll go to first for the out. 2 outs. Bianchi now at third base.
You get a left-handed hitter at the top of the batting order, and you allow Ricky Weeks to be in more of an RBI spot. Maybe get some men on. Ricky's been swinging it pretty well. It's tough to put together a lineup that is offensive minded when you have Braun, Ramirez, and Corey Hart not playing. I mean, that's very difficult.
Well, those are lineup pillars that Renicky didn't even have to really think about much last year. You just penciled them in, and they were there every day, putting up the big numbers. The top 3 home run hitters, top 3 run producers for the Brewers last season.
So knowing that your offense is not hitting on all cylinders, you try and load up the best defense that you can for Johnny Hellwig today.
Segura gets a bunt down. Frazier coming in. He's coming to the plate with 2 outs, and the out is recorded.
Boy, what a smart play that was. Wow.
Gene Segura drops down the bunt. Would have certainly been a base hit, but Frazier a heads-up play to get the out at home, and the inning ends at home plate. Brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, your ticket to more. And by Marshfield Clinic, don't just live, shine. Beautiful sunny day here, and the field looks great. Justin Scott and his crew doing a fantastic job. Green grass, blue skies, day baseball in Milwaukee today. Shadow starting to creep out across the home plate. That'll become a factor here for the next hour or so. Johnny Hellwig trying to put up his first 0 of the day. Xavier Paul leads off. Reds have had their leadoff batter reach base in each of the first 3 innings. A double, a single, and a walk.
Man, Johnny's done a nice. Sorry about that. Johnny's done a nice job minimizing damage. The Reds only 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position today. Could be a lot worse.
Big double play turned in the second inning. One ball, 2 strikes, and Paul asked for it, is granted timeout. Bouncing ball to Bianchi, and he bobbles it. Just whiffed it, I think.
He had decided to play back on it, and it took the hop. It should have been a relatively easy play, but well, it took his eye off of it and went right off the end of the glove. There it is right there. He got a piece of it, but Xavier Paul is going to reach on the E5. So the defensive problems for the Brewers with Hellwig on the mound continue.
Just one of those things. The Yankees a very good defender. A shortstop by trade. Just whiffed on that one. An E5. And more traffic out there for Johnny Hellwig. He's just been the one guy, at least in his 3 starts, that the Brewers are in defensive slumps for. Devin Mesoraco drove in a run with a sac fly in the second inning. Mesoraco, a talented young catcher. Former first rounder by the Cincinnati Reds. You've heard of Punxsutawney Phil, right, Rock?
I have.
See his shadow? That's where Mesoraco's from. Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. You think he gets any comments about that daily, wherever he goes?
Something about Groundhog Day? Never.
Hey, Devin, did you see your shadow today?
That's pretty good.
He's just 25 years of age. Reds have 2 good young catchers in Hannigan and Mesoraco as he takes a breaking ball for a called strike. The first strikeout for Johnny Hellwig.
And that's a pitch that he needs. You know, we saw Willie Peralta struggle with a breaking pitch last night until about the 7th inning. Then he found it and was able to finish the game. Head and shoulders whiff here today. Johnny Hellwig, his first strikeout, a looking variety. Devin Mesoraco takes a breaking pitch.
Leake gets the bunt down this time and going to make Hellwig throw it, which is not a bad idea. That wasn't the prettiest of plays, but it works as a sacrifice bunt. And there's a bunch of little leaguers going, "What, Dad? What just happened?"
Yeah, Leake dropped it down. He decided he didn't even think he was going to run. Ended up running, and Hellwig almost threw it away. Now, do I have to go? He's going to get out of the way of the baseball. He allows Lucroy to get in front of him, and Hellwig throws a lollipop over to first base.
So all very polite.
Not exactly the way you want to throw a ball to the bases.
Right.
Put something on it.
So 2 men are out. Runner at second. Here's Shin-Soo Choo. Choo coming to the Reds from the Cleveland Indians. Cincinnati traded away their center fielder, Drew Stubbs, who was a great defender but was challenged offensively as Choo bounces one to first, and there is a 0 for Johnny Hellwig. First of many, let's hope. 3-1 Cincinnati on our way to the bottom of the fourth. Foundation. He partnered with them, invited 2,000 campers from the Metropolitan YMCA to enjoy an afternoon of fun at Miller Park. Summer camp is one of the iconic experiences of childhood, especially in the upper Midwest. The YMCA camps provide fun and adventure. The program strives to instill honor, respect, responsibility while demonstrating how to have lots of fun. Great to see all of the kids from the YMCA around Milwaukee today. YMCA's outgoing CEO Bob Yamachika participated in the pregame ceremony along with Cecilia Gore. So good job, Ricky Weeks, and he's making a lot of kids happy today.
Yeah, Ricky's always been very actively involved in the community since he's been a part of the Brewers. Spends a lot of time.
He's getting them all sugared up, return them home.
And let the parents worry about him.
Yeah, be bouncing off the walls today. What a great day at the ballpark. 3-1 Cincinnati as Gomez leads off against Mike Leake. There's a good breaking ball.
He's not a guy you can think about pulling. Stay on him. He's going to work the outside part of the plate. If he sees you trying to pull it, he's not going to give it anything close to the inside part of the plate for a strike.
Gomez still looking for his first hit of the series, but has been the hit of the series with his defensive play on Monday night. That home run saving catch on Joey Votto. But he's 0 for 7. Had a sac fly and an RBI his first time up. And he is the Brewers leader in home runs on the Powerball home run leaderboard.
Man, you know Carlos Gomez wants to go into the All-Star game with that batting average over 300. Hitless in his last 3 games.
And there's ball 4. So Gomez, a speedy base runner aboard. And you can tell Leake is frustrated about the leadoff walks. That's back-to-back innings with leadoff walks. Here comes Lucroy. Lucroy got off to a very slow start this year, but he is putting up tremendous numbers now. Most RBIs Lucroy has ever driven in, 59 in his first full season in the big leagues in 2011. There goes Gomez. Lucroy lets him run. No chance. Mesoraco doesn't bother. Even if he gets a handle, he's not going to throw out Gomez, who steals his 21st base of the season.
They're patting the Brewers' major league lead in stolen bases. Gomez now 21 out of 24. Tremendous percentage. And Mesoraco trying to be a little bit too quick, not able to hold on.
Oh, another one of those great images from Phantom Cam. Look at that. Beautiful. Gomez in there with a steal. He's in scoring position now for Lucroy. Lucroy with 48 runs batted in. 11 away from his career best. Did that in 136 games in the division winning year of 2011. Just looking at the numbers for Carlos Gomez and Gene Segura. There are 4 players in the big leagues with 10 or more homers and 20 or more stolen bases. Gomez and Segura are 2 of them. Half of them right here in Milwaukee. The other 2, Mike Trout and Jason Kipnis, both in the American League. All of them all-stars. Lucroy draws the walk. Didn't miss by much, but Lucroy is aboard, and it is first and second for Ricky Weeks.
Only the 3rd time that Mike Leake has walked more than 2 in a game. I mean, his control has been impeccable. His last 8 starts, he's walked 7 batters. So he's already walked 3, and we're only in the 4th inning.
Well, Ricky Weeks in a run producer spot here. 2 on, nobody out. Again missing outside is Leake. There's a lot of discussion before the game today whether to hit Ricky Weeks in the leadoff spot or put him in a spot to drive in runs. Renicky went with Schaefer as the leadoff hitter today. Weeks bats 5th. For moments such as this.
And Mesoraco, Mike Leake having a chat. I mean, you can see the pitching style of Mike Leake. He's a guy that relies on keeping the ball in the corners, keeping it down. He's not able to find the corner right now, and doesn't have the kind of stuff that he could just say, all right, I'm going to throw a strike here right down the middle. Got to be very fine on the corners to be successful. Right now he is not.
Weeks hits it sharply right to Cozart, who's going to go to second, and now Gomez in a rundown. And Gomez tagged out. Gomez wasn't sure if it was on a hop or caught on a line. He was in no man's land, and the Reds end up getting 2 outs out of that shot by Ricky Weeks. That's a bad break.
Yeah, Brewers fortunate it wasn't on the line. It might have been a triple play. Ricky hit that one right on the nose. A 1-hopper right at Cozart. Gomez going back. You see where Lucroy is. If that ball was about 2 feet further on the fly, that would have been a triple play. Gomez not able to stay in the rundown long enough to get Weeks over to second base.
It's a good play by Cozart and some pretty fast thinking there. You know, he was disrupted by Gomez's move to the bag, and had he hesitated any longer, Lucroy might have made it. Well, Betancourt pops this one up, and Leake gets himself out of a mess. 2 on, nobody out. The Brewers come up empty. Still 3-1. To the fifth inning, Gomez and Gene Segura, the all-stars for the Brewers this year. That'll be Tuesday night. Midsummer Classic returning to New York. Home field advantage for the World Series on the line. They say it counts, and it does. It's the 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live from Citi Field in New York, July 16th, and it is exclusively on Fox. Home Run Derby participants announced. Cano, Fielder, Davis, and Cespedes. Cano was the captain. He got to pick his teammates. David Wright of the Mets chose Bryce Harper, Carlos Gonzalez, and Michael Kadire. Interesting call. Yeah, Wright and Kadire grew up in the same area in Virginia, and a couple of Colorado Rockies on that Home Run Derby roster. Cozart bounces one foul. Brewers trailing 3-1 to Mike Leake and the Reds. Leake's been one of the better pitchers in the National League this year. And the Brewers find themselves down a pair, but they've had some opportunities in this game.
Well, they've had opportunities for the most part because Leake's not able to find the strike zone. 3 walks already for him. Very unusual for Leake to be walking that many this early.
None of the walks have scored against Leake. Cozart made a nice play on a line shot by Ricky Weeks, and now Hellwig walks the leadoff batter. So 5 straight innings the Reds have their leadoff man on. 2 hits, 2 walks, and an error. That's the 4th walk allowed by Hellwig. He has 1 strikeout. And a man on for Joey Votto, who doubled his last time up.
The wildness of Johnny Hellwig, I don't believe that it's because he's trying to be too fine. I think it's a mechanical thing that he's trying to work through at this level. Always been a guy that's going to walk some batters. He's got the big fastball, but he's able to get some strikeouts to go with him. Just inconsistency with release point.
Well, the Brewers do have activity in their bullpen. Hellwig is nearing the end here. It has been a battle for him all game. Donovan Hand, who's been bouncing in and out of the starting rotation. The Brewers are going to have Gorzolani make a start on Friday, so they could have Donovan Hand available today. As Votto takes strike 1.
Gorzolani's certainly deserving of another start. He was outstanding. 6 innings his last start against the Mets.
Last time up, Votto drove onto the opposite field down the line for a double, and he takes ball 4. The league leader in walks. He is aboard for the 2nd time in back-to-back walks to start this 5th inning. And Rick Kranitz is on his way out to the mound.
Major league hitters aren't going to help you if you're not throwing strikes. They're going to be taking pitches until you show them you're going to be able to find the strike zone. Very disciplined hitters for the most part at this level. And the other thing, umpires are going to help you out either. You're not willing to show them that you're going to be on the corners and throwing strikes. They're not going to help you out.
Well, now back in a familiar spot where he is in desperate need of a ground ball double play here. Yeah, Brandon Phillips coming up. Jay Bruce to follow. This is a tough spot with men on base. Nobody out, and big run producers coming in. Phillips has 2 RBIs today, and that gives him 66 for the season, which is the 3rd most in the National League. Paul Goldschmidt of the Diamondbacks with 74. Alan Craig of the Cardinals with 71. Interesting to note, Phillips has grounded into 10 double plays this year. And a bouncer here. Bianchi going to second for 1, and the out is recorded at second base.
Wow.
I don't think they're going to get Phillips anyway. Bianchi had the option to take the lead out at third.
And a little bit too far away to be able to run all the way to third base and make a throw to first. I think that might have been his best option, but I'll tell you what, that was pretty close at second base, whether Ricky had his foot on the bag or not. That wasn't a very good throw by Bianchi. Take a look at it here. Is he on the bag? I don't know.
Yeah, that's Brewers might have got a break. Foot is off as the ball is in the glove, so that is a break. And that is the first out. It's first and third, and that's going to be the end of the line for Johnny Hellwig. So Hellwig will exit 4 1/3. As 2 runners still his responsibility. We'll take a break.
After 4 1/3, and fans can enroll in a world-class experience this summer as Quick Trip presents the inaugural year of the Brewers Baseball Academy. These instructional kids camps are coming to a city near you. Visit brewers.com/camps today. So send your kids to the Brewers Baseball Academy, and mom and dad can go to Brewers Fantasy Camp with Rock in Arizona. And Rock, you had some news this week. Some new coaches committed for the 2014 camp.
Yeah, Cecil Cooper is locked and loaded to go to Arizona February 2nd through the 9th. And we've had some breaking news come across the wire today that everybody that signs up for fantasy camp between now and the end of the season gets a $100 voucher.
Oh, nice.
For food at the hotel.
Is that like one of those old-fashioned wires, like a Morse code, like the fantasy camp wire?
The ticker tape?
Yeah,
that's
nice.
what it was. I got it that way. And
oh, that's good.
So you sign up now through the end of the season, and you essentially get free meals at the hotel.
All right.
$100 goes a long way.
Yeah, it does. Thanks for the update. Here's Donovan Hand on the pitch for the Brewers, and Jay Bruce at the plate. There's strike 1. Johnny Hellwig is out 4 1/3, and 2 runners that are his responsibility. And Renicky making the move here, trying to keep the Brewers in striking distance. Donovan Hand coming into a tough spot. Hand is a strike thrower. He's been impressive. Talk about a guy who's taken advantage of his opportunities. Donovan Hand got a chance to get a call to the big leagues in his first year in the major leagues. He pitched well out of the bullpen. He earned a couple of starts.
And it doesn't matter whether he's pitching in relief or in that starting role. Just glad to be in the big leagues and getting outs.
There's strike 2 on a curveball.
Yeah, 3 of his last 4 appearances have been starts and has done very well in 9 relief appearances this year. A strike thrower.
We'll see his last 3 outings. The start against the Nationals and the Pirates. Trying to retire a dangerous hitter at the plate in Jay Bruce, who has a hit and has walked today. You could just tell by that conversation right there, Donovan Hand has an idea of what he wants to do. That was a one-way discussion with he and Lucroy on what he wants to throw.
And Luke maybe just trying to, remind him that Jay Bruce, a low ball hitter, Hand relies on keeping the ball down in the strike zone.
And the 1-2 is up in the strike zone, but it missed inside.
That's where you need to pitch him.
Zach Cozart over at third base. Phillips at first. 2 walks and a fielder's choice in this inning. And a great play by Lucroy to save a run. Well, look how far he had to go to block that baseball. That was almost on the shoe tops of Bruce.
Ended up on the other side of Jay Bruce. Yeah, quick feet. Watch him shift. And able to get around. And he is moving side to side very well.
That's something there. He was set up on the outside corner for Jay Bruce, and to jump all the way to the inside corner to keep that one in play. Full count to Bruce. And a bouncer. Betancourt, that's a fair ball, and Betancourt's only play is first base. So another run will score. Cozart comes in. Bruce is out. He'll get credit for an RBI, and it's 4-1.
Good pitch. Jay Bruce tops it right in front of home plate. Betancourt able to make the play, and no chance to cut down that run. Cozart scores easily. So the leadoff walk comes around to score.
And that brings in the decision by Jeff Bianchi to try to get it out at second as opposed to third, allowing that lead runner to advance. That runner scores. Brewers are down 3 as Hand pumps a strike in there on Todd Frazier. Cincinnati headed to Atlanta tonight. They'll start a series with the Braves tomorrow night at Turner Field. Brewers headed out west. Brewers Diamondbacks tomorrow. Gallardo is on the mound for Milwaukee. Wade Miley for Arizona. There are a lot of folks in Phoenix right now and Diamondbacks fans that were hoping that Gallardo would be pitching for the Diamondbacks tomorrow.
Doug Melvin not willing to pull the trigger on, not much anyway right now. They're still in a wait and see, and kind of a tough spot for Doug in the front office, the baseball ops folks, to determine what direction to go. And with all the injuries and the way things have gone this year, a couple of additions next year, guys come back healthy, and this team can turn things around quickly.
Hard to imagine a season that would go like this one has gone on the injury front. Every team deals with injuries, but no team has lost the production that Milwaukee has. But we had Doug Melvin on the other day on Monday, and he was the first to admit he cannot defend the way the Brewers have played in a number of areas, injuries aside. Frazier into center field. That ball's pretty well hit. Gomez on the run. Gomez runs it down in a full sprint. Carlos Gomez covering some ground in center field. What a play. That's a Gold Glove outfielder right there. I don't know if he's going to win one, but he should. Inning over. 4-1 Reds. Today with the 9th lowest ERA in the National League at 2.73. He's a 7-game winner, and he's been able to pitch himself out of a couple of jams so far today. Brewers got a run on him in the first inning, and that's been it. 1 run on 2 hits. The Reds lead 4-1, and we're headed to the bottom of the 5th. Sean Halton will lead off. Jeff Bianchi to follow, and then we'll see Donovan Hand get an at bat. Halton bounced out to third his first time up. Leake lives on that outside corner, and he has, for the most part, not been able to hit that corner with consistency today, and you can tell it's disrupting what he wants to do. As Halton hammers one deep left center field. That ball is up and out. Number 1 for Sean Halton. His first big league home run brings the Brewers within a pair of the Reds.
And they won't have to negotiate to get that one back. That one ends up in the Brewers bullpen. And that's got to feel good for Sean Halton. And the Brewers now down by 2. And gets it on a 2-0 pitch. A changeup from Mike Leake. Middle in, and Halton, tall, strong, right-handed batter, able to get one down toward the end of the bat, it looked like, and able to knock it out of here. Number 1 for Sean Halton.
Sitting next to Logan Schaefer, who hit his first big league homer yesterday. Schaefer got the silent treatment when he entered the dugout. Not the case for Sean Halton today. What a moment for him.
And a 2-0 changeup that was middle in. Missed his spot.
Halton, who had 49 career minor league home runs across 3 seasons and part of a season this year. His first in the major leagues.
The game situation will dictate a little bit of how much fun you can have in that dugout. Schaefer's home run gave the Brewers a 2-0 lead. Things looking good, but Halton's, the Brewers still down.
Yeah, good point.
You don't want to have a whole lot of hijinks in the dugout when you're trailing in the game.
Well, Jeff Bianchi has walked for the second time, and that's going to bring Brian Price out of the Cincinnati dugout. The pitching coach might have spotted something here with Mike Leake.
Ties the season high in walks for him. He walked 4 in his first start of the year.
Yeah, very unusual. And all 4 of these walks coming in the last 3 innings. Essentially coming in the last 10 hitters. The 4 walks. So that's going to give Donovan Hand an at-bat and a chance to bunt Bianchi into scoring position. Well, the Reds feel like they should have a much bigger lead at this point. And squares early, and he takes a strike.
Yeah, Reds only 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position so far today, and that's the first 5 innings. Brewers 1 for 4.
Reds bounced into an inning-ending double play in the second. Had the bases loaded, nobody out in that inning. Scored just 1. And bunts it foul. It hit the bat twice, but he was in the box, so he's good. Just a foul ball. There's not a 2-stroke penalty as long as you're in the box.
See, does it hit his hand?
Wait,
that's his throwing arm.
What are you saying?
Right on the wrist.
You're saying that Donovan Hand just got hit on the hand?
That's good. No, the wrist.
Oh, okay. Too bad his last name's not Donovan Wrist. Then it would be perfect. Love to get the runner over here, Donovan Hand. Hand does have a hit this year. He's 1 for 5 at the plate. And he takes a ball. Close pitch. Good eye. And Leake just continues to fight himself about that outside corner. That's his spot. That's why he's been so good this year. That pitch right there, but he's not either not getting the call or not putting it where he wants it.
And maybe something about that Miller Park mound that he doesn't like. He's 0-2 career here.
Runner goes, and Hand gets the bunt down. It's a beauty. And Votto smartly looks Bianchi back. Hand is out. A 2-strike bunt for Donovan Hand. Nicely done. Our carsoup.com email the booth question comes from Jerry in Artendale. What are Logan Schaefer's ideal positions in the lineup and on defense?
Man, it's kind of hard to determine, where he's going to be best suited in the lineup until you play him every day. But right now, Ron Rennick is using at the top of the order and at the bottom of the order, typically 8th. He's hit 7th. He's hitting leadoff today. More of a spot in the lineup where he's just trying to get on base. But, position-wise, anywhere in the outfield, he's going to do pretty well.
And he hits a shot right back to Leake. Makes a terrific catch. And a guy who would make a serious case for a Gold Glove as a pitcher this year, Mike Leake. He's made a number of good plays already. None better than this one.
That's the way he squares himself up, fields his position well, and able to snare the line drive and think about a double play. So Jeff Bianchi, good base running, not getting off too far.
Tough break for Schaefer and the Brewers. Bianchi still at second. Segura takes a strike. In a great position to field that ball.
Hit him right in the glove, didn't it?
And he uses a massive glove.
Yeah, didn't have to move the glove too much.
If I was a pitcher, I'd have the biggest glove I could find.
Yeah. Knocking down line drives. Let's get back to that Donovan Hand bunt. I think somebody missed a sign, because how often do you see a pitcher square around the bunt and you have a base runner taking off on the pitch?
Yeah, in case of a pop-up.
It's kind of unusual.
Play.
Yeah, kind of unusual, and Brewers got away with it, though.
Well, we'll see if Segura can come up with a big hit here with 2 outs. No balls and a strike to count. Segura with 11 home runs this year, and a spinner in there for a strike. 81 miles an hour on the breaking ball from Leake. Brewers have a run in on the Sean Halton home run. Threatening for more here in the 5th inning. Segura out to short. Cozart. And they just got him. Close play. Inning over. Career home run #1 for Sean Halton. He is on the board. And the Brewers within 2 of the Reds after 5 at Miller Park.
Within a pair, and hard to believe that Packers training camp starts in just 2 weeks, and FoxSportsWisconsin.com is getting you ready with a position preview every weekday. Read Paul Immig's story about Aaron Rodgers and the quarterbacks right now, and come back each day for more. Donovan Hand takes the mound now, and Hand and Halton both spent time in the Venezuelan Winter League, and Hand told me before today's game he thought the experience was invaluable. He was there to build himself as a starter and also work on himself as a long relief man. Halton was there to get some outfield experience with his natural position of first base being occupied by Hunter Morris in Nashville. So the valuable time in Venezuela paying off here for the two guys as they make their way to their major league debuts this season.
That's great stuff, Sophia. And that winter ball experience, that has launched many players from so-so fringe minor leaguers to big leaguers. You know, you go down there and you have success in winter ball, especially in Venezuela. It's not the easiest conditions to play in every day. It can change a lot of minds in an organization. I think it shows a lot to a general manager that you're willing to go continue to hone your craft. As Chu lines one past Ricky Weeks for a base hit. I beg your pardon, Xavier Paul. And a clean single to right center for Paul, and a man on here in the 6th.
In 1983, after the season was over, I went down to Puerto Rico and played winter ball. It was the same year that Don Mattingly was there on a different team, and he was learning to play first base. He was an outfielder for the Yankees. They sent him to winter ball in Puerto Rico to learn how to play first base. He turned out to be a pretty good first baseman.
Yes, he did.
So it's not just guys trying to, on the bubble, that's trying to get to the big leagues. It's guys maybe learning a new position.
Like Sean Halton did. That's impressive. Turned himself into a Gold Glove first baseman, Don Mattingly. And if you're a fringe prospect, or you don't feel like you're a guy who is getting a good look, and you go to winter ball, if you can get one of those jobs, it's tough to get one of those jobs in the first place. But if you go to winter ball and you have success because the talent is so good, there are a lot of major leaguers in winter ball all through the Caribbean. Venezuela, the Dominican, Puerto Rico, Mexico.
And they draw pretty good crowds, for those games. I mean, they take that serious, that winter ball stuff down there in Latin America.
Very high pressure situations. Bouncing ball to Segura. This should turn into 2-4. Around a 6-4-3 it goes. And Mesoraco delivers 2 outs with 1 swing of the bat for Donovan Hand.
Hand really coming in and bringing this game back to some semblance of order for the Brewers, and getting a sinker down in the strike zone, and Mesoraco an easy double play ball to Segura. Throwing strikes don't have to be overpowering. Just keep the ball down, get some movement on it, and get your ground ball outs. That's what Willie Peralta did yesterday, although he was bringing it pretty good. The velocity for Willie was good, but he had a lot of ground ball outs last night.
Leake able to check his swing. The Reds pitcher at the plate. Got a sacrifice bunt his last time up. Bounced into a double play in the 2nd inning. Brewers have turned 2 double plays today. Big Tapper and Hand. Nice, tidy, quick inning in the 6th. Brewers needed that. They're down 2. Headed to the bottom of the 6th inning. Reds 4, Brewers 2. Milwaukee coming up. Racing sausage race of the half. Another good race. There's a lot of speed going on. I think they've been recruiting some faster racers lately. Been very entertaining. Look at the Brat trying to close the gap. Can't do it. The Italian too spicy for him.
Yeah, they're. I think somebody had a talk with them.
I think you're right.
And you know, they yesterday I think they broke a record, right? The winner, the
right.
hot dog broke a record.
That is correct.
Fastest time around the circuit.
There's no leisurely stroll. Mike Leake made the final out of the top of the 6th. He is getting ready for the home 6th. Leake has given up 2 runs. The Brewers have 3 hits. Leake has been unusually wild today. He's walked 4, but none of those 4 walks have come around to score. Gomez had a sac fly and an RBI in the first. Sean Halton hit a home run last inning. It'll be Gomez, Lucroy, and Weeks. And a hot one over to third base, right to Frazier, and that's an easy out for him. 1 pitch, 1 out for Mike Leake. Leake emerging into the kind of pitcher that the Reds hoped he would be. They had 2 young pitchers coming up about the same time, Mike Leake and Travis Wood. And the Reds took a flyer on Leake. They made a deal with the Cubs. Reds needed bullpen help, and they traded Travis Wood to the Chicago Cubs to get Sean Marshall to help their bullpen. And that really pushed them over the edge as far as the bullpen goes. And they won the division last year. Well, Travis Wood is an all-star for the Cubs this season. He's having a great year in Chicago. But Leake has been just as good. You know, on the surface you can say, well, they traded away an all-star. Somebody had to go from the Cubs, and Wood's having the best year of that group. But Leake, while not an all-star, is pitching at an elite level right now.
9th in the league in earned run average. At 273 coming in, and has done particularly well away from Great American Ballpark. On the road, one of the best earned run averages in the National League, 3rd best at 2.20.
You can succeed on the road, you'll stay around for a long time. He's pitching well today. He's given up just 3 hits, 2 runs, as Lucroy takes a called strike 3 on the inside corner.
That front door breaking pitch. Lucroy thought it was inside, but Mike Everett rings him up.
2 outs for Mike Leake.
Lucroy thinking that ball went around the plate. He might have had a gripe. A backup curveball ends up as a strikeout.
Foxtracks had it right on the inside corner.
Wasn't supposed to be there. You saw Devin Mesoraco reach across the plate to catch it.
That's the first strikeout for Leake. 2 outs for Ricky Weeks. Ricky hit the ball sharply in the 4th inning with 2 on. Zach Cozart made a terrific play on him on his glove hand side. It ended up turning it into a double play. Brewers had 2 on, nobody out in that 4th inning against Leake, and could not push any across. Cincinnati's hopes for a postseason probably rest with Johnny Cueto and his health. He's on the disabled list for the 3rd time this year. He is their ace.
Can't imagine the Reds are counting on him, though.
There's a called strike 3. Leake rings up Ricky Weeks, back-to-back Ks, and his best inning, 3 up and 3 down. Brewers go quickly and quietly. brought to you by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Synchronized running. Cozart chasing down Carlos Gomez. Look at that.
That's the way I felt going down to first base on a slow chopper down the line.
Low.
But it was real time.
Yeah, exactly. It's great stuff. We've enjoyed Phantom Cam all week here. We had Kyle Loesch on our Brewers Live pregame, and he had a chance to break down his pitching mechanics. We showed him some of the images from Monday night, and he was great. Really gave you an interesting look at how the pitchers think about pitching and some of the things that caught his eye, which we would have never have seen. He even had time to break down Matt Kenseth's ceremonial first pitch, which is not quite at the pace and release of Kyle Loesch.
Wasn't as much in a power position was Kenseth.
Shin-Soo Choo with a base hit to start this 7th inning. Cincinnati has had their leadoff batter reach base in all 7 innings today. Everyone. On our AT&T U-verse rewind, Brewers have been able to turn 2 double plays. The first one on Mike Leake, that was in the 2nd inning. Goes 4-6-3, and then a 6-4-3 double play wiped out a leadoff single last inning.
Ground ball outs. That's all about what that's what Donovan Hand tries to do. Not worried about the strikeout. He'll keep you honest and keep you off the fastball with that slow curveball.
And there is that slow curveball in there for a strike. We're talking about Kyle Loesch, and we were talking about Phantom Cam, and he remembers that from the NLCS last year. Fox had that camera. You might remember that great image of Hunter Pence and a broken bat. The ball actually made contact with the bat 3 times. Fly ball, foul ball, and Logan Schaefer runs it down. What a catch. Logan Schaefer flying past that corner out there, which is a dangerous corner to get around. Used his hand to feel for the railing and makes a terrific play in right field.
Yeah, we had that question where he is best served in the outfield. Anywhere in the outfield. It really doesn't seem to bother him to be playing on the corners, dealing with the boundaries along the grandstands, and certainly has the great speed and the athleticism to play center field.
Yeah, what a terrific play that was. So comfortable out there.
And just running on the balls of his feet. You go heel to toe, and that ball's just bouncing around, making it much more difficult to make the catch. And it takes a lot of practice to be able to do that. He took his eye off the baseball just for a brief second to make sure he got around that corner and made it look easy.
That's a big out. Joey Votto at the plate. Chu has to stay put at first. Votto with a double and a walk today. And just back to that Loesch story, and I was asking him, I said, Kyle, do you remember that image in the playoffs with Hunter Pence? He goes, do I remember it? That was the base hit that tacked on 2 more earned runs on my line in that game. He started that game and felt like he was pitching well. He was taken out. Pence broke his bat, and a couple of runs came in, and he ended up giving up 5 runs against the Giants.
Not only did he remember it, he'll never forget it.
He lived it, and he said, thanks for bringing it up.
Right.
I had forgotten that was Loesch's game. It's funny what you remember from that game.
I would imagine he remembers every pitch of the World Series. Those are things you don't very quickly forget.
Yeah, Loesch was part of that 2011 World Series club. Last year, Kyle Loesch pitched in the wild card game. He was the starter for that wild card game, and then of course he went on to pitch in the LDS, and he pitched in the LCS. And the Giants are finding out how hard it is to repeat. San Francisco is in last place in the National League West. They are 6.5 back of the Diamondbacks. How about the Dodgers leapfrogging all of those teams. They're now just 2.5 back. Beat Arizona yesterday. They've won 3 straight now, and 8 of their last 10. Dodgers are a game under 500.
Yeah, they've got a lot of ability over there in LA.
Votto draws another walk, his second of the day. And 2 on with 1 out. Brandon Phillips coming up. Donovan Hand came on. He settled this game down in the 5th inning. Hellwig struggled, giving up 4 runs in 4 1/3. So Hand pitching in his 3rd inning, and Michael Gonzalez starting to get loose.
Maybe getting ready for Jay Bruce here.
Bruce due next. 4-2 Cincinnati, 7th inning. And a big swing and a miss and a curveball. 71 miles an hour with the hook.
Such a difference in style, isn't it, between Joey Votto and Brandon Phillips? There's that first pitch breaking ball. Phillips way out in front. Votto good for what, 6-7 pitches every at bat.
Yeah.
And Phillips a first ball swinger, even if it's not a fastball.
Some hitters, they don't want to stand at the plate. They want to swing. And the longer they're up there, the more thoughts come in, the more bad thoughts come in.
Votto just wears a pitcher down is what he does. I mean, he just takes so many pitches. And you know, if there is a knock on Joey Votto, and there aren't many, I mean, he's a tremendous player, but he does take a lot of pitches, and pitches that you would expect he'd be able to drive somewhere. But it works for him.
As disciplined as it gets, Joey Votto doesn't break from it. Certainly leaves a lot of base runners for those behind him. And in a year when Phillips and Bruce are both driving in a ton of runs, I don't think there's as much heat on Votto if he was in a lineup that didn't have these kind of hitters behind him. And who knows, he might be a different hitter if he didn't have the kind of run producers behind him. Brandon Phillips is 3rd in the league in RBIs. Jay Bruce is 5th. 6th in the league, I beg your pardon, for Bruce.
Well, there's no doubt it makes a big difference as to who's behind you in the batting order. That will dictate, you know, how aggressive you're going to be. Sometimes, you know, hitters that don't have much behind them are going to be a little bit more aggressive, swinging the pitches out of the zone, trying to drive in runs. Bruce and Phillips take care of that for Votto, that's for sure. Of course, it doesn't matter to some. I mean, look at Ryan Braun. Didn't have Prince behind him in the batting order last year, and still was able to put up some big numbers.
One and 2 to Phillips. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Although Aramis Ramirez is not a bad replacement for Prince.
Yeah, they did a nice job last year.
100 RBIs. But the point is, if you have a guy like that behind you, you can be selective. Because you know that if you don't drive him in, the next guy, pretty good chance he's going to.
That's why every statistic needs context. Fly ball to right, slicing foul in the seats. Booted by a fan. That's okay. We won't hold it against you. Brewers fantasy camp's coming up right around the corner, though. You get plenty of top-notch instruction.
The guy next to him should have caught in his hat. We saw that yesterday.
Well, it feels like the Reds have been knocking at the door all day. They've scored 4. Could have been a whole lot worse as Phillips fouls it back. Had a good cut. And if you're Cincinnati, you got to be thinking we should be up 6 or 8-2 at this point, not 4-2.
You mentioned that they've had their leadoff hitter aboard in every single inning, but they're 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. That's been a problem for them lately, and that one hit came in the first inning. Brandon Phillips driving in Chu.
Now the Reds have had 4 hits, 2 walks, and there was an error on the first batter of the inning today. Soft liner into center field, a base hit. And Chu around third. He's going to try to score. Gomez's throw to the plate. One hop. Not in time. Chu just in there. Good throw by Gomez. But Chu able to score. And Cincinnati has a 5-2 lead.
And pretty good at bat by Brandon Phillips. An 8-pitch at bat. Finally able to get enough of a breaking pitch. He just dumps it into center field. And Carlos Gomez made this play at home plate a lot closer than he thought. Chu runs pretty well. And a very good throw by Gomez to make it close.
So the Reds put a run on the board. They add to their lead. It's now 5-2. Good catch by Lucroy. Ron Renicky is going to make a move here. Hand is out. Back to the bullpen he goes with Bruce coming up. Now runners at first and third with 1 out as Renicky makes a change. Don't forget, following our game today, Brewers Live postgame, and Greg and Davey will take you through all the highlights and all the news of the day, and also a postgame instructional today. We're going to have an encore presentation of the Kyle Loesch pitching mechanics breakdown, the physiology of his pitching, courtesy of Fantasy Cam, which Phantom Cam, which allows us to see a little more than we normally do. Mike Gonzalez is on the mound for the Brewers. Jay Bruce at the plate. And this game teetering right now here in the 7th inning. The Brewers certainly cannot afford to go down anymore.
Well, Gonzalez last pitched on Sunday against the Mets. 2/3 of an inning. Gave up a hit and a walk. No runs. And Jay Bruce pretty good against lefties. He's hit 7 home runs this year against left-handed pitching.
And his batting average is actually slightly higher against lefties than it is against right-handers. He's hitting .280 against lefties. Overall season batting average of .271. This is a big spot. And Gonzalez delivers to Bruce. He rips one into center field, a base hit. And now it's 6-2 Cincinnati.
Well, continues for Jay Bruce against left-handed pitching. He stays right on it. Yeah, a lot of left-handed hitters, good ones, will tell you that they stay on the ball a little bit better. They're not so much worried about the home run. There's that slider down and away. He goes down and gets it and hits it hard into center field. Not a bad pitch by Gonzalez, but a very good piece of hitting by Jay Bruce.
So 2 runs are in now. 2 on, 1 out. And Frazier off the end of the bat pops it foul and out of play.
Well, there you go. I mean, we talk about Joey Votto being patient at the plate, not being concerned about having to be the guy to drive in the runs, and look what happens. He walks, Phillips drives in a run, and Jay Bruce drives in a run. And when that happens, why would you swinging pitches out of the strike zone to get RBIs? Guys behind you are doing it well.
Yeah, Phillips has driven in 2 today. Jay Bruce, actually Phillips has driven in 3 today. Bruce has 2 RBIs. Frazier broke his bat, pulls it foul in the seats. Did you see what the Twins gave Mariano Rivera as a retirement gift?
I did not.
So Mariano Rivera making his final appearance in Minnesota, and he's retiring at the end of the year. They gave him a rocking chair made out of broken bats. The chair of shattered dreams.
Representing all the bats that he broke.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great gift.
Yeah.
Frazier pops this one up to right field, and Logan Schaefer will squeeze it for the out. 2 gone in the inning. And now Brandon Phillips takes off, and the throw comes in late. Phillips deked Logan Schaefer and ends up advancing to third base. He acted as if he wasn't going to run, and when Schaefer lobbed it back in, Phillips took off.
You can never assume anything out there on the baseball field, and you know Brandon Phillips will do that to you. He'll lull you to sleep a little bit, and all of a sudden he'll do that. And that is a bit embarrassing. A little bit of a lob in there, and he tagged up already and saw where the throw was going and got into third base. Better make sure you make it safely when you do that, going to third with 2 outs.
So first and third now, 2 away for Xavier Paul. There's a strike. Paul has been aboard all 3 times today. A walk, he's reached on an error, and he's singled. Runner takes off, and that ball is hit high and deep to left center. Sean Halton is over, and he makes the catch for the out. Wasn't pretty, but it's an out, and the inning is over, but the Reds score 2, and the Brewers are down 4.
some great plays, great games, and some wins. And on our AT&T Twitter poll, we asked Brewers fans just that, to weigh in with what was the best moment at Miller Park this series. And fans enjoyed Willie Peralta's 3-hit complete game shutout last night, but ultimately 82% went with what unforgettable walk-off catch by Carlos Gomez to rob Joey Votto of the home run, his 4th home run robbery of the season. And guys, I think that may stand as the play of the season. We'll see what Gomez can come up with in the second half, but hard to beat that one, definitely.
Yeah, never underestimate Carlos Gomez, right? Reds tighten up their defense with Derek Robinson in left field. 6-2 our score. The Reds have the lead, just getting 2 more in the 7th inning. Betancourt leading off here in the home 7th. Sean Halton and Jeff Bianchi. Anybody gets on, we'll see a pinch hitter.
You know, people ask you which one of Carlos Gomez's catch you like the most. You know, my response is we haven't seen it yet. I mean, he's one of those guys that I mean, he just kind of you know, takes that opportunity.
Betancourt into center field. That ball's hit, and Chu turned himself around, but able to recover to make the catch for the out. Betancourt, a long fly ball out to center field for out number 1.
Yeah, Chu, you know, plays relatively shallow. Didn't play too deep out there in the outfield. Spun himself around, but able to recover and make the catch. Betancourt gives this one a pretty good ride on the warning track. Chu makes the adjustment and hauls it in right in front of the wall. That warning track kind of swallows the outfielder up. It's so big. Bigger than any warning track in baseball.
Get a couple of steps on there, you start looking for the wall or feeling for the wall, and it never comes.
Really hasn't been much of an issue for the visiting teams anymore. It used to be first couple of years of this ballpark. Guys jump a little bit too early. They had room.
Leake working on the extreme first base side of the rubber. Quickly 0-2 on Sean Halton, who hit his first major league home run back in the 5th off Leake.
And making that angle, you know, to catch that outside corner at the right hand is a little bit easier as opposed to be on the other side. Now that's 24 inches wide, that pitching rubber. And that makes a big difference. I mean, that's one side of the plate or the other. So if you're trying to catch the outside corner with breaking pitches, when you're on the third base side, you're going to catch a lot of the plate as it goes across, not when you're over there.
Little tapper out to Phillips, and the Gold Glover makes a play for out number 2. Leake is pretty well dialed in at this point. That's 8 in a row he's retired.
That Brewers had their opportunities early in the ball game. He was struggling with his control. Brewers not able to capitalize. And the further you get into this game, you know, the tougher it becomes with Aroldis Chapman out there in the bullpen.
Jeff Bianchi at the plate, presented by Wendy's. He's walked twice. That one's a strike. 1-1 on Bianchi. Normally a sure-handed infielder. He's had his troubles at third base today. Johnny Hellwig started, went 4 to third, gave up 4 earned runs. Donovan Hand just giving up 2 earned runs in the 7th inning. Juan Francisco looks like he's ready to hit next. Badenhop in the bullpen. Cincinnati has activity as well. Manny Parra is the left-hander, the former Brewer. J.J. Hoover is the right-hander getting ready. 2-2. Yankee off the end of the bat. Phillips right there to make the play to end the inning. Mike Leake, he's retired 9 straight, and we're headed to the 8th. 6-2 Reds. Ron Renicky making another change as Burke Badenhop is in. Sean Halton's hit a home run today. Ho-Chunk Gaming text question from John. He wants to know who decides if a player plays in winter leagues.
Well, that's a decision that is made between the organization and the player. You know, most organizations have a working arrangement with a lot of some of these teams, whether it's Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Mexico. And they'll send players down there that they feel need a little bit extra work, maybe work on a different position. They'll get to the next level. It certainly didn't hurt Gene Segura over the offseason. So some organizations will want a player to go, and that player doesn't want to play, and it's up to the player. I mean, ultimately, it's the decision of the player that wants to go or doesn't. Organizations can't force him, but it doesn't look real good if they ask you to go and you don't. Especially if you're one of those guys on the bubble.
Burke Badenhop stalking around the mound, ready for his appearance. What you say when you talk to yourself. Fascinating study, Burke Badenhop. And a line drive right at Bianchi. Nice catch at third base. Devin Mesoraco hit it like a bullet to third. 1 out on 1 pitch.
He got one up out over the plate, hooking right at Jeff Bianchi, and he two-hands it for the out. Hit that one right on the nose.
So 1 away, and here's Mike Leake. Dusty Baker's going to allow him to continue on here. He's pitching well. He's only given up 2 runs on 3 hits. In constant motion, Burke Badenhop. And he's sporting the old-fashioned stirrups, which is always cool. He's a rare bird in that category. You don't see stirrups much anymore. Remember, if you wear stirrups, kids, high side in the back. You'd be exposed quickly if the high side's in the front.
Very uncool. You're right.
Yeah. Stirrups and a sanitary sock, which can also double as a necktie if your name's Pete Vukovic.
Sanitary socks. Yeah.
Multi-purpose.
Badenhop trimmed it up a little bit, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
A little bit more clean shaven.
And I'm sure he has his reasons. 2-2 on Leake. And he hangs in there. Third reliever used by the Brewers. It started early. Donovan Hand was called on to finish off the 5th inning, which he did. Mike Gonzalez had to finish the 7th. Gonzalez allowed one inherited runner to score. And now Badenhop. Big bouncing ball. Segura fires to first in time to get Leake. 2 outs. Well, our game summary is brought to you by Toyota. If you're just picking us up, maybe you're getting an early break from work today. Brewers trailing the Reds 6-2. Trying to sweep Cincinnati with a win today. Mike Leake 7 strong innings, working around 4 walks. Brandon Phillips has driven in 3. Jay Bruce has a pair of RBIs. And Sean Halton with a milestone home run, his first career major league homer. Hit that off Leake in the 5th.
Awfully difficult to get through the middle of this Reds order. Votto, Phillips, Bruce.
There's a base hit by Chu, his 2nd of the day.
Which kind of highlights a little bit more what Willie Peralta was able to do last night with those guys in the lineup. Nothing on the board. No runs. But you're not going to keep those 3 guys down all series, that's for sure.
Chu with his 3rd hit of the day and a walk.
Look at the head. Head right down. Lets the ball travel back off the back foot. Just drives it back into center field.
Zach Cozart has been on base twice. He scored 2 runs. Cincinnati headed to Atlanta tonight. They'll start a series with the Braves. The Brewers are on their way to Phoenix. 4-game series with the Diamondbacks beginning tomorrow night. West Coast baseball, at least Pacific Coast time baseball. To stay up late with us the first 3 days.
Weather's cooled off in Arizona.
Yeah, it's down to like 98 degrees for a high today.
Yeah.
Better than the 116 it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it'll be around 100 tomorrow. That's jacket weather for the folks down in Arizona.
Cozart flies one to right. And Badenhop works a scoreless inning of the 8th. Brewers are coming up, bottom of the 8th. See if they can muster up a rally. Down 4 to the Reds.
game. The Brewers deficit 4 runs, and certainly not insurmountable at this point. But Mike Leake has only given up 3 hits back out on the hill, and 2 of those hits came in the first inning.
That's right. He's really settled in. I mean, he's keeping the ball down. And he's, you know, when he's gotten in trouble, he's been able to make the pitches to get himself out of trouble. They turned some nice double plays.
All right, we've got Brewers Live coming up after the ball game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Milwaukee Brewers Baseball Club. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Milwaukee Brewers. Looking forward to Brewers Live postgame after the game, Brian.
All right, Craig and Davey, thank you. As Juan Francisco leads off pinch hitting for Bert Badenhoff. 6-2 Cincinnati, bottom of the 8th. Francisco to start it. Top of the order due up next. Logan Schaefer and Gene Segura. Francisco in the air to center field. Chu on his way back with room for the out. And it's out number 1. Shining moment of the game brought to you by Marshfield Clinic. We'll take you back to Logan Schaefer making this terrific catch and avoiding the railing down the foul line. Nicely done in the 7th for Logan Schaefer. Schaefer doubled and scored in the 1st. He lined out in the 5th. That was a pivotal play in the 5th inning for Mike Leake. Brewers had a run in, a man on. They were 2 runs down. Schaefer hit one right back up the middle, and Leake stabbed it for the out. Brewers have not had a base runner since the 5th inning. Ten in a row retired by Leake.
Found his command, you know, with the curveballs, but he's been able to throw it for strikes. He's got a couple of strikeouts with the curveball. Brewers had their opportunities against this guy early in the game.
Leake making a run at his 8th win of the year. ERA is 9th best in the league. He's given up 2 runs in 7 1/3 today. That's the way the game goes sometimes. You think about when this day started, who would you rather have on the mound, Matt Cain or Mike Leake? Leake pitching into the 8th here. Matt Cain did not make it through the 1st today. Cain's had a rough year.
Yes, he has.
Schaefer in the hole. Look at Brandon Phillips from his knees makes a play. Wow, Brandon Phillips, outstanding play to get Logan Schaefer.
It makes it look easy, doesn't he? Effortless. A very quick first step, angles back, and able to get himself in position to throw quickly. Knew he had to because Schaefer getting down the line pretty good.
Boy, he covers some ground.
Yes, he does.
At second base.
Keeps his head down, watches the ball in the glove, and gets the out.
So 2 outs. Here is Segura. He singled in the 1st inning. 1 for 3 today. Matt Cain pitching against the Mets today got just 2 outs. He gave up 3 earned runs and walked 3. Giants are in a tailspin right now. Mets lead them 3-0. Game's in the 4th. Right back to the mound, and Leake makes the play to end it. Well, Mike Leake, he's got a chance to finish this one today. Reds are coming up. Don't forget the Brewers are back at it tomorrow. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap will be in Phoenix, Arizona at Chase Field. And airtime for Brewers Live is 8 o'clock in the Central Time Zone. Gallardo against Wade Miley. Game 1 of a 4-game series. The Brewers are going to send Gallardo, Gorzolani, Kyle Loesch, and Willie Peralta to the mound. Diamondbacks will counter with a couple of lefties to start the series, Miley and Corbin, and then Delgado and Ian Kennedy to round it out. Brandon Kinsler will have the 9th. Reds have Votto due up to lead off, and then Phillips followed by Bruce. The numbers for Kinsler this year.
Yeah, very good. 36th appearance for Brandon Kinsler. Has done a very good job for Ron Renicky. And Kinsler last pitched on Sunday against the Mets, an inning and a third of scoreless baseball.
One game is final in the big leagues today. Miami beat the Braves 6-2. That'll be the Reds' next opponent. Mets and the Giants are underway with the Mets leading 3-0 in San Francisco. And the only other day game is ours here at Miller Park as we move to the 9th. Reds have 6 runs on 9 hits. Votto has been on base 3 times today, 2 walks and a double. Looking ahead to the Brewers' 9th inning. Gomez, Lucroy, and Weeks. Renicky always has Ryan Braun available if it gets to a spot. And he could be the decisive run. Roldis Chapman looks like he's coming in regardless. It's not a save situation, but he has not pitched in this series. Votto strikes out. You don't see a Votto swing like that very often. A testament to the stuff of Brandon Kinsler.
Yeah, good movement going away from Joey Votto, and very defensive swing. Didn't mean to. An emergency hack to try and foul it off underneath.
Well, it's got a lot of tail to it. So Kinsler strikes out the first batter faced. Here's Brandon Phillips now. 3 RBIs today for Phillips on 2 hits. Phillips and Votto will be the all-star starters on the right side of the National League infield next Tuesday. Phillips making a sparkling defensive play last inning. One of the best in the business as a defender. And a bouncing ball cut off by Bianchi, spins and throws him out. Nice play, Jeff Bianchi. 2 outs. Seeing a little bit of the shortstop in Bianchi with that play.
Yeah, come out to the ballpark for DNR days for select dates. Enjoy savings on Brewers tickets. Plus, get a free Blaze Orange Brewers cap. Visit brewers.com/special events for details. That'll look good on you when you're out snow blowing this winter.
Yeah, that's what you need. You know, in case you get buried.
They can find you
Blaze Orange
easily.
hat, right?
And it can get deep out there.
Yes, it can.
Out in the lake country.
Very deep. Get a lot of drifting going on. 2 outs for Jay Bruce. Has a pair of RBIs today. They're gearing up for the Paul McCartney concert here at Miller Park, Rock. Coming up during the All-Star break.
And no rest for the weary. The Brewer, the folks in the front office and all the personnel around here. There's no all-star break for them. Everybody involved in that concert. That's the night of the all-star game.
Tuesday night, it's been a big hit, the concerts. I remember they had Farm Aid a couple of years back. That was a huge success.
Kenny Chesney here this year.
Yeah. Sell out for that one. By the way, we want to send out a special happy birthday wish to Lorraine Gill. She works up here in the Brewers media area, the dining room. She's walking around today with balloons tied to her jersey on the back. There's a strikeout. Kinsler, nice inning. 1-2-3 with a pair of strikeouts. Votto and Bruce. Here comes Chapman. As Chapman is throwing in the bullpen, but he is not coming into this game. Dusty Baker is going to stick with Mike Leake while Chapman waits in the pen in case he's needed. Mike Leake is going to come out to try to finish this one off and return the favor to the Brewers that was turned in by Willie Peralta yesterday.
Yeah, ordinarily when you get your closer up and ready, you bring him in, but you know, Dusty Baker waiting for a base runner. Going to have to be 2 base runners on with Leake in the game for it to be a safe situation for Chapman.
Well, you can understand why Baker would want to stick with Mike Leake. His pitch count is in great shape. And he's retired 12 straight batters as he deals strike 1 to Gomez. Carlos put the Brewers on the board in the first. He had a sac fly at an RBI. Another run coming on a Sean Halton home run. Two and 2 to Gomez, who is 0 for 1 today. A sac fly, a walk. He had a stolen base, and he grounded out. Reds have 3 complete games this season. Mike Leake does not have one yet. Homer Bailey with a couple. Of course, the no-hitter by Bailey last Tuesday. Bronson Arroyo with 1. Leake does have 2 finishers in his career, and they both came last year. Brewers broke that long streak of uncompleted games. 407 straight games without a complete game until last night when Peralta went all 9. It had been over 2.5 years.
Yeah, Willie's starting to put it together, isn't he? Yeah, 3 of his last 4 starts, very good.
Gomez center field. Chu is there for out number 1. It's 13 straight retired by Mike Leake. The Brewers shattered the old record, by the way. The Florida Marlins held the record of games between complete games at 301. The Brewers went 407.
It's just not something that Ron Roenicke cares too much about. He's not interested in complete games. There's been many opportunities that the Brewers have had over the last couple 3 years that perhaps they wouldn't be able to finish off a game, but Roenicke doesn't believe in it. Doesn't think it's necessary.
Now, Roenicke always talks about if the starting pitcher, if he's my best option in the 8th, he'll stay. If he's my best option in the 9th, he'll stay. And it all has to do with the pitch count and effectiveness. And Peralta was dominant throughout the game yesterday, including the 9th when he threw his best fastball at 98 miles an hour.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, having said all that, if the pitch count's a little bit too high, those guys are gone.
Lucroy pulls one foul.
Unless, of course, they've got a no-hitter, maybe a shutout, but you got to manage for the long haul, the entire season, not just one game.
She's fired up. Got a souvenir on a generous fan. Two and two to Lucroy. Into right center. Chu cannot get there. A base hit. So Jonathan Lucroy with his first hit. He's 1 for 3 today. And that will bring Ricky Weeks to the plate.
Brewers need a couple of more base runners. For the Reds, one more base runner becomes a safe situation for Aroldis Chapman. Cut fastball down on the handle a little bit, and Lucroy able to muscle it into center field. Caught it back in the strike zone a bit, but able to stay on top. Keeps that bat in the hitting zone a long time. See how level that swing is even after contact.
Dusty Baker will make the change right here. So Leake is out 8 1/3 today. And here comes Aroldis Chapman. We'll take a timeout. Is the updated leader in that category. Yasiel Puig running second right now. It's the final spot of the All-Star team, the 34th roster spot. And the final vote period ends tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Steve Delabar in first with the Blue Jays. A lot of pitchers on that. All pitchers on that final vote for Jim Leyland in the American League. So here's Aroldis Chapman.
And numbers outstanding for the flame-throwing left-hander. Triple digits on a regular basis for Chapman. Good numbers for him. Not a save situation, though.
Reds lead by 4. Tying run has to be in the on-deck circle. Got a man on with 1 out. And Weeks bounces to third. Frazier goes to second. Phillips off his knees. Not in time. My goodness. Brandon Phillips almost turned an incredible double play.
One of the hardest throwers in all of baseball, Aroldis Chapman. Reaching back and letting her fly in the upper 90s, and look at the arm action on that pitch. Wow. Just the incredible torque and the tension on all the joints that he has when he throws the baseball.
That is a gift. Hit 101 miles an hour with that pitch. And the Cuban-born Chapman against the Cuban-born Betancourt. That was only at 99. This Reds bullpen is going along very well right now. They have not allowed a run since June 28th. 24 consecutive scoreless innings. Ricky Weeks takes off. Betancourt swings and misses, and the Brewers are down to their last strike. Chapman headed to the All-Star game along with his teammates Votto and Brandon Phillips. One of the premier closers in the game. 102 with that fastball. And that's a called strike 3. That one at 101, and Cincinnati able to salvage the final game of the series. They win it 6-2. Mike Leake improves to 8-4 and improves upon his earned run average, which was 9th in the league to start the day today. No chance for Betancourt. Hellwig suffers the loss, 0-3. And it's time for Brewers Live. As we finish off this homestand, we check in with Craig Cashon.
Okay, Brian, thanks very much. Coming up on Brewers Live, our postgame report next here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Brewers still take the series against the Reds. Look very strong, obviously, in the first 2, but we'll get inside the clubhouse. Hear from Ron Renke. On-field instructional, very special with Kyle Loesch. You'll want to stick around for that.